Hello, it's back at Marion's World, and today I'm going to be showing you how to prepare your page for doing cutwork embroidery. It is simple to do, take it stage at a time, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Now this is a really old-fashioned sort of a technique that I don't really see done much anymore, but it's really beautiful. It looks gorgeous. It looks complicated, but it isn't. And there are only two simple stitches you're going to need to use. I've done a pattern. It looks more complicated than it actually is, and I'm going to put this on my shop so you can download it for free. And I'm going to colour part of the pieces in that you don't need to transfer if you don't want to. If you want to do this just as a piece of embroidery, then that's fine. But I really hope that you carry along and do this piece of cutwork, because you'll feel so pleased with yourself when you've done it. So that's the design that I've done, which is mainly just like primrose type flowers or rose type flowers, a couple of leaves here, a little frame, and then these lines here are what are going to make this embroidery pattern into a cutwork pattern. So mine's drawn on, so mine actually might look a little bit different to the one in the shop because I drew this on before I drew the pattern. I'm doing mine all in one colour, and because it's next door to the slow stitching page that had this off-white embroidery on, and my fabric is actually not pure white, as you can see from the colour of the paper, I'm going with a cream cotton. And you can use stranded cotton, which I've got here, which I'll probably be using for the embroidery part. I've also got some crochet cotton. I might well use that for the embroidery instead. Probably the equivalent of 3 strands, I think, of embroidery cotton. 2 strands, I think, that one. And then I've also got some sashiko cotton, which is very similar to cotton abroader, and that is probably double the thickness of my crochet cotton, and that's probably equivalent to 3 or 4 strands. So I'm going to say that this sashiko is probably equivalent to 4 strands of cotton, and that's what I'm going to use first. And when I've cut out the cutwork, I'm going to back my page probably with a piece of blue, so that they look lovely when they're open together. There's only 2 stitches to know. One is running stitch and the other is blanket stitch, and that is it. And I've done the pattern with double lines. Really didn't need to have the double lines, but I think when you've not done it before, it's probably helpful. And every single piece of stitching here is going to be padded with double running stitch. So I'm just going to start off, and the other thing is you can do this in a hoop if you want, but you can also do it in your hand, and I'm going to do mine mainly in my hand. And I'm going to just come up from the back, and I'm going to do running stitch around the middle of all these double lines. Now they don't have to be really tiny either. They are going to be totally hidden by what comes on top. And so you can make smaller stitches as you go around corners. You don't have to be aiming for tiny stitches. You just need to get round. And so I know that might not be, I'll pull you in so you can see close up. I hope that stays in focus. So I'm going to go around my pattern here, and I'm just going to go around in running stitch one way. And this looks lovely. You see this sometimes on vintage napkins, you'll see it on tablecloths, you see it on high-end things as well, and it's really lovely. And it isn't as hard as people will think. So I've come to the end of that petal. That one's going across, so I'll do that separately. I'm actually going to go back through here, and I'm going to fill in all the gaps. So I'm doing double running stitch. And I would say if you're using all stranded cotton, I'd say do this double running stitch with 3 or even 4 strands. That will be great. And if I didn't want to do this in double running stitch, I could actually do this in chain stitch either, and just do a chain stitch around the double line. But I think double running stitch is so easy to do, it's quick and it's simple. Now if you're doing it in your hand, really be aware that you are not going to pull your work. You don't want any puckers. But there's one petal is now done. I can come up and do my next petal. Well, this is the easy part. I'm going to work out from the middle. I felt that people might say, oh, that's too difficult, I can't do that. And I'm here to just say to you, even if you have not done anything like it before, just stage by stage, it isn't as hard as you think it's going to be, and you'll have so much pride in yourself for having done it if you just try a little bit at a time. And you can see I'm not doing anything difficult here. I'm just doing double running stitch. I'm going to go back around that petal now. I'm always going to be aware of keeping my work flat, not pulling it. And I'll take the least amount of stranding on the back as I can get away with. So you'll just see a double running stitch on the back too. And so that is the first little stage. Now I'm going to do a bit more of this, and I'm going to come back when I have a little bit more done, because there's a stage that needs to be got to today, and once you know, you sort of don't need me to sit here rabbiting on really. And I simplified the pattern as much as I could, while still giving the essence of what I hope will be such a beautiful piece of accomplishment. If you haven't done anything like it before, you might have seen stuff and think, oh, I can't do that. And I'm here to tell you, you can. You can do all of the running stitch first and then just go back through and do the second one. I'm just choosing to do each individual piece and, you know, sort of go once round, then go back round before I start the next one. But you can do it whichever way makes you happy. If you're worried about cutting up you're going to cut into your actual page, will be to do this whole piece on a separate piece of cloth and then stitch it onto your book page. Now that could be if you've got a patterned page that you're working on, you might want to get a plain piece of material and do it as a separate piece of work. Or if you've got very fine material as your background, you probably need something a little bit sturdier. So this tablecloth's going to be fine for me, but you probably don't want to have your very first piece of cut work on something really fine. You'll just give yourself more bother. So a thicker sort of a base cloth, or make it on a separate piece and then stitch it on to your whole page. And then you could, if you did a separate piece, you could choose a piece of fabric that was a different colour entirely. It doesn't have to be white, and could do this in any colour you like. But you probably do want to have a plain piece of fabric. I've been thinking about this page for a while, knowing that I wanted to do it, and then I kept thinking, oh, we're just going to say it's too hard. But I just thought, just go for it. It's your choice whether you want to do it or not, but I think you should try. If you've been following along, you should definitely try, because you'll surprise yourself with how easy it actually is, and how beautiful it's going to look. All of these inside pieces, so all of these little flowers here, I'm going to get all of them done, and then when I'm onto the leaves and the frame, I'm going to come back to you. I've got some more done on here, so I've double running stitched all this middle bit, and I've started to do the things, the leaves that are going to go through the piece that's going to be cut out. So all of this will be solid, and then these bits here are going to be removed so that the whole piece looks like it's a piece of lace just floating above the background. And I put these little extra leaves in so that the lace was less to do, but obviously they need to be connected, because if that got cut out, what's holding them together? So this is where the second stage will come in, and we'll make these little bars that are going to be just easy to do, and you're going to love doing them. But before I get there, I can just say that I've just single running stitched all around my outside. I haven't doubled them up at all. And I just left that one hanging because I'd rather not finish off if I don't have to. So anywhere, I'll just pick my needle up, anywhere that you might want to strand across, you need to just weave at the back, because when this material is cut out, you don't want any of your threads going across there. So whenever you come to anywhere where you might have wanted to strand, we'll just say, let's see where I've done it there. Where you might have wanted to strand across, you need to weave your way down and weave your way back up. Every time I'm starting and finishing, I'm now just weaving through my running stitches on the back. And you can see nothing's pulled, everything's still lying flat. So before I go any further, I'd like a single running stitch on everything else I've got. So I've just started here to go around the little frame. And I'm using quite big stitches. They don't have to be small, but what you do have to be aware of is just not to pull them tight. So every time, just make sure your fabric is flat and come right down the middle of the double lines. So I'm just going to come round the corner, come down, and I'm going to get all of this frame filled in with my single running stitch. I'm going to get all the way around and back to the beginning, just on a single running stitch. And now I'm ready to do the next sort of stage. On the pattern that I've made, I've drawn in the little connections. So you can copy them over if you want to do that as well, but I'm going to just colour this so that you can choose which bits you want to copy over with your preferred method of putting the pattern onto your fabric. But this is the stage where these start to go in. So I'm just going to leave that there. So I'm on my second go around, so I've got all of the running stitches are in here now, just a single layer so far, and I'm coming back around this with my second row of running stitch to make this into double running stitch. As I go around this outside, I'm going to be aware that I need to make connections across here for the pieces that are going to be removed. And so I'm going to go down here, and this feels like a good place that I could make a connection across. So all the connections need to be made on the top, so I'll just come back up there. And I'm going to make a connection across to this little leaf here. So I can just go across and pick up a tiny little bit of fabric, tiny little bit, 2 or 3 strands. Not going to pull anything at all, I'm just going to leave that there. And while I'm here, I'm going to go around this one with the running stitch, so it gets its first layer. So round I go. Again, we're not pulling anything tight. I come back up at my little bridge that I've made, and I'm going to go back across the little bridge, pick up a couple of threads again. I'll just go under there. So I've got 2 little threads going, and I'm going to go back over the other side again. Okay, this is a bit thick for doing this, but this is part of just learning how to do it. Now I'm going to hold that in my hand, and now I've got 3 threads going across here that are going to hold this little leaf in. So now all I have to do is blanket stitch. So I'm going to come back to this side, but I'm going to use the eye of my needle. I'm just going to start doing blanket stitch. I'm going to do it towards me and pull that first one up tight. Come back to do another one. I'm not going through any fabric, I'm just going through the little bridge. And the blanket stitch. Keep them all nestled tightly up together. And just work your way back. Pulling them nicely, pulling them nice and snug until you get back to the other side, and you'll have made your first connection. And you're making lace. That's what you're actually doing, you're making lace. And it is as simple as making blanket stitches over a little thread bar. So when I get back to the side I'm working from, that's my last one there, I think. I don't think I need another one. I'm going to take my needle down, which secures it. I've made my first little piece. And then I can come back up and carry on filling in my double running stitch. So I'll go a bit further along. I'll take another, I'll come up there. Now I've drawn these on the pattern, so you can use the bars that I've drawn, or if you feel more confident in doing it, you can make your own freehand ones just like I'm doing. So I'm going to come up a bit halfway in there because I think I want another bar here. And so I'm going to go across, take up 2 threads, come back again, another 2 threads, make sure they just lie nicely without being too loose or too stretched. Back to the other side again to make 3, and then your 4th one you come back to where you're working. This will get filled in next time. So I'm making another bar, straight back in with my blanket stitch, and go tightly across, exactly the same, eye of the needle, and just work your way back across. So always put 3 bars in, because then you're always going to blanket stitch back across to where you've started, and then you carry on putting in your double running stitch. So that is another bar just about finished. Now if you do these, you can do these fine, but I'm doing them in a sort of thicker thread just so it's obvious what I'm doing. I've worked my way back across, and there's my thread a little bit twisted. I'll just take it down there, and that finishes that bar off. Now we've got 2 connections connecting this little leaf so it won't fall out. So then I need to come back up, and then I can carry on filling in the running stitch. So here I'm actually going to take another bar. So I'm going to come up alongside where I've just gone down, I'm going to come this way this time. There we go. Going to come back again, threads there. Always take 3 because it means you'll end up going across and then working your way back to where you started. Back over to the other side and ready to do my blanket stitch bar. And just make sure that you're pulling them up snugly like that. Nothing hard about that at all. You'll just end up with a really lovely little blanket stitched bar that bridges one side of your design up until the other, and this is what's going to hold everything together at the end when we bravely go and cut out all that material. So the first pass is just normal running stitch, and as you come back for the second part, that's when these little buttonhole bars or blanket stitch bars are going to be put in. And here I come up to carry my running stitch further onwards, so I'm just doubling up my running stitch here. And you've got 2 chances to get your bars in because you can work either side of the gap. So if I want to just take it down there, if I want to put another bar here, I can either do it when I'm putting the second row around here or when I'm doing this outside. I can either go from there to here or vice versa. So you just need to think as you're going round, where's the best place to take your bar from. So I'm going to go across. I'm almost to the next place I want to have a bar. I don't need them to be symmetrical. You can make them symmetrical, but I'm not particularly bothered. I just want to do them wherever I feel I'm ready to do them. I think I need one more in there. You don't need to crowd them in, but you do want them to be tightly together. I think that's it. I'll show you that. And then anchor your bar down to the back. And this one, obviously, I'm going to finish off my thread. So I'll turn over and I'll just wind my thread back through the stitches that I've already laid in, like that. And you don't need it to be very far because all of this will be covered up on the next stitching. So that leaf there has got all of its double running stitch in, and it's now connected to these 2 with 3 bars. So I can go straight onto this next leaf. So I'm going to get a few more of these done, and I'm going to come back when there's one more little complicated one that I want to show you. As you can see, I've moved along a little bit. I've got some lovely connections right the way going through here. And so all of the middle bit here has got the double running stitch finished, but I still have the outside to do. And these little leaves here have only had one single go round. So I've just popped back on so I can show you how to go on about doing the second row round of these. And also there's a little tricky bit that goes into 3 like that. It's not actually as tricky as it looks, but I thought I'd better show you how it's done. So I've actually started this row. I've started to fill in my second row along the little frame, and I've got to here, and I thought I needed a connection there. So I'm about to do that by going back across. I've done 2 strands already. Remember, you need 3 altogether. So I'm going to take myself over there to make my third. That's the 3rd strand on my bridge. But before I come back to do that, I'm going to come up, just show you. I'll come up, and instead of coming straight back along with my buttonhole stitch or my blanket stitch, I'm going to actually go around and do the second go round of my running stitch. So I'm going to go down here. So it just takes you to think about where you're going to go and how you're going to do everything. So I'm going to take my stitch along, and before I go any further, I'd actually like these two to be connected. So this is the time to do it. So I'll go across to that one and come back again. Go across my third time. So I'm going to do this little bar here, and then that connects them two together. This will mean that this leaf here will be totally surrounded and supported when I'm finished, and then this leaf will be finished. Well, finished of this bit anyway, finished in this stage. So I'm blanket stitching back along. Easy as that. Once you've done a few, you'll realise just how easy it actually is. So there, I'm going to anchor that little bar down. Always make sure you're going right into the middle of those lines. I'll come up here to carry my double running stitch further along. I've already done these bars, so it's just a matter of going in and out to get my double running stitch completed. Like that. And I'm ready to put my blanket stitch into this bar to get back to where I've come on the frame. So again, I'm just through my loop, not through the fabric. And so that leaf there is now completely supported by all of these little bars, so when the background fabric gets cut out, it'll be held there. Going to do another one or two here, and I'm going to come back to you on this little space so I can show you how to do that little threesome there. Okay, I'm at a place now where I need to put one of these little three-ended connections in. So I've come past where I want something here, really. I wanted to go there and here. So I've gone past it. I'm going to come over and do a little connection over here onto the end of this leaf. So I'll go and do my 3 bars just the same way, so I'm getting that ready. So now before I do the blanket stitch back, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down, come up there, and I want this to be here. So I'm going to come straight across to this one, take my little piece. Now it's important not to pull this tight because we're going to allow some leeway here. There's my 3rd little bridge across. I'm going to start and do my blanket stitch, and I'm just going to get halfway. I'm blanket stitching along to the middle of this bar, and you can see I've got a bit of leeway there. And I'm going to make another bar out to the side. And I'm going to very gently pull that a little bit. And when I come back across, I can just go around the threads, like that, and go back to that side. Now really, I should be blanket stitching back, but I'm running out of thread, so I'm actually going to take my thread down there, finish that off, and come back with a new thread. I can pull my blanket stitch back up to the middle again. And in this way, we make 3 connections instead of 2. When I get back to the middle, I can just go under and then carry on working back down this one. And I still end up at the place I started, which is over here. Anchor that one down. and then I can come up and I can either go around and do the rest of its double running stitch, or I can go back to where I came from. So I'm just going to go back to where I came from for now, because there's a few more stitches to do. So here I go, back along this bar that was just left waiting for me, ready to go further onwards. You must always remember that you can't be stranding across the back on any of this space that's going to be getting cut out. So always find your way across to the little leaf. It has to be on top. And I've got another bar to put here. Where am I at the moment? At the moment I need another little connection in here, but this double running stitch needs filling as well, so I can do all that in one go. And then I'll move on to carry on doing this bit in here and doing the connections on this side as I work round, and then I can do the outside completion and do the connections there at the same time. And so I need to work around those other three corners. This corner's had the inside connections done and it needs the outside ones on. But when that's done, that'll be this stage of it completed. And I'm just going to show you the back, because everywhere that's going to be cut out, which is this piece here, there's no threads coming across it at all. All of the connections are totally on the top. So if I come to cut that out, it's going to leave these three little leaves like little islands, and they'll only be connected by the lace. So you can either transfer these marks over and do them exactly there, or you can just refer to the pattern and put them in where you like, or you can just freehand them yourself. But either way, these little leaves, 3 leaves that are in each corner, they all need connecting to the main pattern and to each other and to the outer frame. So here's how I'm leaving it for this week. It means all of the double running stitch padding is finished and all of the connections are made. Well, next week we'll take it further onwards. Well, I hope I've shown how easy that is to do. You just take your time and enjoy doing all that lovely running stitch and the blanket stitch bars. They really aren't that difficult. Just plan out where you're going to make the connections and you'll be fine. Now the pattern, I'm going to have that in the shop, it should be there now for you. You can download it for free. You don't have to take the lines for the bars, you don't have to transfer them over if you don't want to. You can freehand them like I did and just put a connection in wherever you think you want to. But it's going to look gorgeous when it's done. And I've used quite a thick cotton, I've used the sashiko cotton there, just so that I can make it as clear as possible on film so you can see what I'm doing. But if you're more experienced and you want to go finer, then you use maybe 3 strands of stranded cotton for your running stitches and your connecting bars. And then next week you could keep to 3 strands, or you could go down to 2 strands next week. But if you want to do it in that thicker, do it in the 4 strands, or you've got a thicker sashiko cotton or a cotton abroader, it's going to look lovely. Especially if you haven't done it before, it'll be good to practice with that slightly thicker thread. I hope you like, and send me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it's too much or whether you're eager to start it. I love reading your comments, so please let me know what you think about this week's Stitch Journal page. And thank you so much for all the support, and I hope if you haven't subscribed already that you're going to press that subscribe button and follow along with whatever else is going on. Before I go, I have one more thing to say, and that is that one of the pairs of tickets for Harrogate's show have been redeemed, and that person has got their code and hopefully has got their tickets now. But I'm still waiting for the other person to contact me. So Beverly Winter, you still haven't been in touch. And I think, considering it's only a fortnight to the show, if Beverly hasn't been in touch with me by the weekend, this weekend, I'm going to redraw another winner and I'll publish it on the community page. I don't want to wait to have to add it into a video as the time is getting short. So Beverly, if you're watching this, please get in touch either through Instagram or through my shop email. I do keep checking that email at the moment, looking for your name. And if you get in touch with me before the weekend, then I will give you the code. And if you don't, I will be redrawing that, and I will publish either way with a little post on the community page, and I'll let you know either that the other pair of tickets has been redeemed or who the next winner is, who will then be able to get in touch with me and get their code. So good luck either way. Either Beverly get in touch or somebody else get in touch when you find out you're a winner on, I'll just say I'll do it on Saturday. So Saturday you'll find out either way. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So thanks very much for dropping in to visit me, and I will be here and ready and waiting when you drop in and visit me next time. Bye everyone. Thank you so much.